You mentioned that there was another thing. Now, we've just been speaking about your book and about these 6 amazing things that you've spoken about in the book. Can you share another one with us?
Oh, all right, just one more. Okay, one more, right? I love it. Look, consistency is key. Being consistent. How many of you listening, or even just yourself, Sarah Neal, how many of you have been guilty out there of not being consistent? It'd be like sort of saying the business that we have, we're going to only open it up when we just, 100%, me too. In the start, it was like when I felt like it. So it was like the shop was only open when I felt like I wanted to open the shop, right? So I got to decide, but that might be once every few weeks, or that might be once, a week, or it might be just at my leisure, so to speak. And that's the thing, is that consistency. When we're looking at algorithms, when we're looking at social media and using that as a tool, because isn't that where everyone's on at the moment? Like, seriously, like, where's the yellow pages anymore? Like, do we use anything like that? It's.
I have a monitor on it. It's used as uplifting my monitor, the yellow pages.
We can Google one, but most people will Google Facebook first, or at least predominantly that. It's certainly a very well-known place to find people, to find businesses, to get a bit of an idea of what they look like, get a feel of what they feel like. And if we're looking at building something and we're not consistently showing up, then our potential clients can't see us. They're not going to know that we're there, or else they're going to go, oh, she was there, or he was there one day and then not the next. What happened? They're only posting every 2 or 3 times a month. I don't get to know much about them. So it might sound like some simple concepts or simple strategies, so to speak. Sometimes these things can make a really big difference to allowing the people to see us showing up often, showing up in our element, getting to know who we are, and really getting a feel of what it is that we do. So consistency is key. If we're not consistent, then, what are we doing?
So for our male viewers out there, we're going to bring in some relationship advice here. Marketing and building is your business is like building a relationship. It is like being in the dating world. You can throw your name out and walk up to a partner or a person that you would like to date and say, hey, let's go and do this. And 1 in a million chance your line may work. But most of the time, you need to build rapport and a relationship, and you need to speak in the language that person speaks. For me to speak high elf to a dwarf, or to someone, geeking it out here, to someone that doesn't understand my language, it's not going to work. Building your relationship in your business is similar. You have to speak the language of the people that you want to bring in.
I love that. And it's so true. It's no different. Like, no matter what type of relationship we're having, whether it be a business one or a personal one, we still have to do the same thing. You're right, Neil. I love the analogy. You just don't go up to someone and literally ask them to, hey, want to come my way? And you're right. It might be 1 in a million chance that person says yes. But we kind of want to date that person. We want to woo that person. We want to let them know that we're interested about them. Not about the sale, but about them personally. And also that consistency, same thing, is, I mean, we've all dated at one stage, and having someone show up consistently feels good. We know that they're there, and if they're inconsistent, we start to get confused and we start to question, does this person like me? Does this person care? Is this person even interested? So we can question things. So great analogy. It really is not that dissimilar to the dating game whatsoever. So love it.
And the other piece I'd add is integrity.
Yeah.
If you say you're going to do something in a relationship, you need to follow through. If you're going to do something with a client, you need to follow through. And if you are unable, you need to pick up and go, I cannot do this, and own up and deal with it. I know I would sooner, me personally, be told a heartfelt, I screwed up, I've overbooked, whatever from a client, I cannot deliver. How can I make this up to you? To me, I'm already falling deeper in love with that person that I want to do business with.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're right, it is integrity.
And if you think about like at an awards ceremony, like if somebody fell over coming up the stairs, everyone feels sorry for them. Everyone's like, oh man, that would be so embarrassing. You can feel the room getting anxious for them. People genuinely care. And to add to what Neil's saying, one of the best things that I've seen coaches, mentors, lecturers, or you name it, people say and do was 3 magic words. I don't know. If someone tells me I don't know, I genuinely trust them more instead of fluffing an answer or, making, like Michelle, those 3 magic words. What would you add to that?
To me, what comes up is it's authenticity, isn't it? It's showing that you're a person and not trying to be someone who's perfect, who knows every little thing, because the reality is we don't. And we're all human. And I really showing that humanness with authenticity, with integrity. That's a beautiful quality to have. And you're right, you do. You end up falling more in love with that person because they're being themselves and they're stepping up and they're really taking that ownership and responsibility of where they're at. And as a coach, particularly if you're coaching people out there, we've got people out there, the practitioners, the leaders, the entrepreneurs, you really want to lead the people that you're working with. So you need to go first. So beautiful.
So my question to the rest of you, Michelle and Sarah, what do you do to make connection in your coaching business with people? Years ago, I was in Houston and I wandered up, and when I could eat cheese, can't eat cheese now, and I ordered a pizza. This man made me feel so important, and he was just taking my pizza order. Like, I would have followed him into battle because he made me feel so special. What is it that you do or could offer suggestions to our listeners and viewer and audience to help them deepen connection with their clients, their friends and family?
Oh, what a big question, Michelle.
It is, isn't it? Oh, you're throwing it back to me first. Okay, fair enough. Let's jump in here. I know, it's like, who's going first, right? Look, I think it is a big question. And how would we treat someone that we care about? If we were to take money, sales off the table, how would we treat people that we care about? How do we treat people that we love? And we might not necessarily know these people, but it doesn't stop us loving on them appropriately, because we don't want to get any stalking issues going on here, but certainly appropriate loving on people. As we nurture them, we do care for them, we be available to them. Obviously, we still need to set boundaries for ourselves and our own lives. But I think, again, to keep it simple, most people want to feel special, so we listen.
Yeah.
We listen.
So we've got listen. Anything on your part, Sarah?
I agree. Listening is so important. I don't know about you guys, but I've received DMs from somebody who's trying to set appointments or trying to book me for one thing or another, whether to be their client, and they're just relentless. And you're like, you didn't ask me anything about me. Maybe if they did, they didn't touch on it. And they're just going through that script that someone's given them, and it frustrates and irks me. And I know exactly who to block and delete when people do that. And I wonder if you, the audience, have experienced that too. Don't worry, us coaches get that as well. And it can be really frustrating. So having those active listening skills, 100% agree. For me, I love to work in the transpersonal realm. So not just the stuff that we see, but the stuff that, that we don't see, the stuff behind the stuff is where I thrive. And so I believe personally, from me experiencing it as a client and facilitating this for other people, that's where I come in. That's where I really hold them and help them. But again, that's after they're the client. So I love that Michelle's spoken about, listening and caring, and then we've got the actual process of doing. Now, Neil, you threw a curly question out to us. I'm curious to know what your response is.
Absolutely. And it's connection, and connection through eye contact, and not to the point where you're staring at them and boring a hole through them, but truly make a heartfelt connection. Like look at them in the eyes and look at them whole person, and not from a judgment place, but really, the best word I can use is really see this person in front of you and just love the person that is in front of you, because they're there, and you might as well. For the 2 minutes that I was there, I felt heard because he was actively listening. I felt seen because he listened to my order. And then I felt appreciated because at the very end, as he's handing me my change, he said, "Thank you." And I felt that he truly meant thank you.
You can feel it, can't you?
Yeah. And he was in less than 2 minutes, and this was 10 years ago. I still know this particular connection.
Oh, and g'day, Dre. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate your comments. Looking forward to chatting again soon. And yeah, being present. Oh, what a gift. So thank you to everybody who has taken the time to be present with us today. We appreciate you. Yeah. And we are curious, how do you feel about this new shorter format? Let us know. Now, I'm interested, Michelle. So you spoke about, getting people and talking to them. Now, I've experienced this, and I wonder if anybody else has experienced this, where as someone who's got something to share with others, well, you should just give that away, shouldn't you? Now, when we're told from so many people just to give our gifts away, how can we possibly pay for our own bills and things like that? What would you suggest to somebody who is in the initial stages and is like, have all these things, but is stuck in that I need to give it away mode?
So you're talking about someone who's offering free services to others? Or just giving value in what it is that they do?
I would go beyond the value and is just giving it away. So you can, like, for example, I quite often many years ago, I was getting approached by people who were suicidal and desperately needed help and would be calling me at 3 a.m. via Facebook, and I had to put a boundary up and I had to say, because I'm sleeping, there's 24-hour hotlines that you can go to. But then there was part of me who was like, well, I can help them. I should be up at 3 o'clock helping this person. And I think, society has pushed us, to give away so much to help others. And we kind of forget, kind of our nose to spite our face sometimes. And one of my major lessons was I'm actually worth money, I'm worth these things that I've studied for, and it's worth these things that I've acquired through time and energy and efforts. So that's where my question was leaning into, where we go from giving it ourselves 100% away as opposed to value shares, which you were leaning towards there.
That's a big question for me. And I'll walk you through why that's so, being a psychologist as well as doing what I do now. So I kind of wear a couple of different hats. And I think the biggest journey and lesson that I've learned is valuing, because not only in the psychology realm, but also in that spiritual, holistic practitioner field, it feels like we've had a lot of society just drumming into us. You're not worth much. You should, from a psychological perspective, you should bulk bill, which for those who are outside of Australia, that would mean pay, a bulk bill would be someone who only is charged what the government will pay, which is very minimal, mind you. So even in that holistic practitioner field of things, your energy workers, Reiki practitioners, you name it. Again, there's this culture that's been built up for a long, long time that these are services that aren't valued. And so we've created this nearly persona, and it's interesting when you put on different hats, because I've noticed myself do that. When I'm in one realm, it's like, can't charge, it's hard to charge more money here, even though I've spent nearly $200,000 on myself in terms of growth and personal and professional development. Yet the government and people are saying, but you need to bulk bill, you need to charge minimal for this service that is worth so much more. And I find that in that spiritual entrepreneurial arena, there's a lot of that as well. So, and I think really at the end of the day, I suppose in this sort of elongated sort of story that I'm sharing, it is knowing your worth. It's knowing that the value of the service that you have is actually worth something, that you've done work, you've learned something, you've spent money on yourself to learn a skill that is of value and that makes a difference. And a lot of people, because we've been indoctrinated to think that maybe energy work isn't something of value because it's not as tangible as going to a psychiatrist and getting medication or whatever it might be that we're comparing it up against, that it's not worth something like that. So, finding that worth and really knowing that you have something of value is so important to start the transition, and starting simply, starting small.
I'm curious if you've experienced this. If you've experienced this, please let us know. And whether it be Michelle, Neil, or I, or all three of us, we will get in touch with you and continue that conversation. Go, Neil.
What I've noticed is, because many people equate spirituality with the Eastern beliefs and from Reiki and all this coming from the spiritual realms of the Eastern countries, the far East, and spirituality in the Far East was an acceptable form, and they were paid minimal, but they were looked after. Culturally, you would see your sadhu and you would feed him. If he needed clothing, you would feed him or her and you would clothe them. Well, in North America, we're around the realm of money. We're taught you earn money, but yet we haven't balanced, and we're in the process culturally of balancing that. In the West, spirituality is paid monetarily, and not that we could go door to door and say, hey, I will do this, I can help you, feed me and clothe me. So it's just a cultural difference that I think we collectively are having to come to a grips and deal with.
Absolutely. And if I could add to that, and I will speak generally as well, and this is probably something that may trigger some people when I say this, is it's okay to charge for your spiritual practice. It's okay to charge for your energetic work. It's okay to charge for your ancestral clearings. It's okay to charge for that. And a lot of people think, because they're connected to source or whatever term that they might have, that there's a sense of not needing to. But there's this capacity to really walk between worlds, is we want to stay connected to this 5D world, which is absolutely phenomenal, where there is no need for money. There is no need for that exchange, because the exchange is done differently. But the reality is, and that's a very, loaded word as well, right? Our reality is there's a level of we're still walking in this 3D world. So it's being able to what I call walk between worlds. And it is okay to charge. There is value to what you do. And this is probably why I'm doing what I do, because I see the value in it, and I see it as something that is becoming more mainstream and people are looking for. Thanks, Dre. I love that. Bring the fire. Love it. And I really want those people to shine. I want this to be mainstream. And I want it to be alongside psychology. I want it to be alongside medicine. Yeah.
So
Sorry, I'm ranting. I love that.
If
people want to get in touch with you.
If Michelle has resonated with you and you want to know more, check the link at the bottom, jump on her Facebook page, and she'd gladly connect with you. And just for any of the latecomers, just so that I can make sure that we're covering all our bases, that Michelle has this wonderful gift for you. So please, 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 when someone gives you a gift, take the gift. Don't go, it's not for me. Take the gift.
Can you say that in Elvish?
Yeah, damn it, take the gift. and